Hello fam, and welcome to another news update from Naija Newsmonger. Please remember to like, share, comment and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you. Now, let's move to the next update. Chidimma's mother has been arrested along with Chidimma's child in South Africa. Yes, you heard right, Chidimma has a child. So, Annabella Rongo, that's Chidimma's mother's name, was arrested in Cape Town yesterday, February 15th of 2025 for alleged immigration fraud, which, hello, we've heard already. So South African authorities, they detained her after discovering that her South African documentation had been fraudulently obtained, rendering her ineligible to reside in the country. I thought we'd heard that before. I didn't even realize that she was back in South Africa, or maybe she never left. I don't know. Because the stories at the time was that they were looking to arrest her. So we sort of got the impression that she was not in South Africa. So maybe that was the wrong impression. Anyway, so during the operation, investigators found her, Chidimma's underage child residing with her. And so because the child is underage, the Department of Home Affairs is collaborating with the Department of Social Development and the SAPS Child Protection Unit to ensure the child's safety. Now, Chidimma's mother, who is a Mozambican national, had been declared an undesirable in quote person in September of last year, if you remember, after irregularities in her residency status were uncovered. Now, despite this, she reportedly continued to reside in South Africa, allegedly using her Mozambican passport to circumvent her status. Wow. So following her detention, Rongo is expected to face deportation proceedings. Immigration lawyer Ashraf Esop noted that once an individual's documentation is invalidated, they have the option to leave voluntarily or face detention and deportation. Wow. Now, you would recall all the controversy, once again, involving Chidimma Adetshina's participation in the Miss South Africa pageant, where questions about her citizenship status arose. Well, remember how she withdrew from the competition due to all those concerns and then later represented our dear country, Nigeria, where, of course, she finished as first runner-up. So, this is, I would call it a developing story, and watch the details here.
Home Affairs has detained model Chidimma Adetshina's mother in Cape Town. Adetshina entered the Miss South Africa pageant but later withdrew. She also won Miss Universe Nigeria last year. Investigators from the Department of Home Affairs, assisted by the South African police, detained her mother Annabella Rongo at a property in Cape Town. According to a statement, the department withdrew Rungo's South African documentation in September last year after finding that it had been fraudulently obtained, rendering her ineligible to continue residing in the country. The department says it appears that Rongo has defied her undesirable status through her Mozambican passport. During the operation, investigators from the Counter-Corruption and Immigration Services also found Adetshina's underage child residing with Rongo. Rongo will be handed over to the SAPS as she's also the subject of an ongoing investigation by the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation. For more on this discussion, we're now joined by legal analyst Mpumelelo Zikalala. He joins us now via our video link. Mpumelelo, always a pleasure talking to you here on the late edition this evening. Let's start off here. What is your reaction to what we've seen take place in Cape Town with the arrest of Chidimma's mother?
Good evening to you and also to your viewers. Well, it is the application by Home Affairs of the Immigration Act, which is very clear as to how we're supposed to treat people that have been declared as being undesirable. Remember, after this investigation, probably the verdict would have been you are in this country illegally, or the manner in which you've obtained that particular permit is not the one which is in compliance with us. We are going to declare you as an individual that is undesirable to be here. Meaning, if you want to come back to South Africa, there's certain processes that you must do. There is an exemption that you can apply for, but up until that application has been applied and has been granted by the minister, you are not supposed to be here and not supposed to do anything in South Africa without getting the valid permit. So if we do find you within the jurisdiction of this country, then definitely the Immigration Act will apply, which is why I think the immigration officers have taken custody of her and then they're going to hand her over to the SAPS.
And when it comes to the sort of charges that she's facing, of course, it is the Immigration Act. But at the same time, there are issues around her documentation, which was brought to surface last year by the Home Affairs Department, saying that she allegedly obtained her ID document fraudulently. So what kind of charges can we expect here from the SAPS overall?
Basically, there are going to be two charges. Remember that by being in the country illegally without proper authorization and permit that allows you to be here, you have contravened the Immigration Act. You are liable for a fine or a term of imprisonment or both, and you are liable or you can be deported back to your country. But secondly, if it's going to be found that there are instances of fraud that have taken place, then definitely the police are going to step in as law enforcement agencies, do their proper investigations. So you may have two or more charges which are going to appear in the charge sheet. So it may be a contravention of the Immigration Act, it may be fraud, or maybe any other instance that had may have been there, if there are instances of corruption in which the South African police or law enforcement agencies would have been able to find. So it depends on the manner in which they're going to couch their investigations. I think this is why they are then saying, ordinarily, we would have deported you or handled you in a manner in which we handle all individuals that have contravened the Immigration Act. But in this case, it's a special case. It's a case that needs SAPS. You are a person of interest. We are going to hand you over to them, and they will process you from then onwards.
I was shocked at all by really the sudden turn of events here, particularly because of what we know from last year. And of course, we also understand that last year, the Home Affairs Department also asked for Ms. Rungo to present herself to Home Affairs officials. But we didn't hear any other information when it comes to whether she did indeed present herself to officials. How should a case like this be handled?
I think in this case, Home Affairs is trying to say we are not going to take this lying down. We want to show the powers that we have and the importance of making sure that we know every single person that is within our jurisdiction. We do have a problem of illegal immigrants, and people are going to get in illegally in contravention of the Immigration Act. So if we're not going to follow it to the T and make sure that those provisions are respected from individuals that are within South Africa, then definitely we're going to find ourselves in trouble. But one cannot hide from the fact that you are dealing with a person who is carries a lot of media attention. So when it comes to instances in which that person breaks the law, certainly government is going to be on a case to say, what are you doing in this country? Did you follow the proper procedure? And let's take it from there. Maybe another point would be when we invited you to come and speak to us so that you can be able to resolve all these issues. Did you come to us or did you evade or go away? And we want to also investigate how did you get back into the country? Because as it stands, you are declared as a person who's undesirable and yet you are found within the country. So we want to find those loopholes, whether it's a system error or it's a human error. If it's a human error, let's go also and punish that individual if they've done so intentionally, or there are cases of corruption that have taken place, to make sure that you stop this thing from taking place. The bigger picture here is this: anyone which is looking from outside, looking to get into South Africa, they must know that there's an Immigration Act that is there. They must know that there's law enforcement agencies, and if you break this particular law, you are going to find yourself in trouble.
What is the likelihood of Ms. Rungo seeing herself being deported by officials from Home Affairs?
The likelihood is that the Immigration Act allows them to do so. But I think in this case, it may even go a step further in terms of offering that particular fine if they can be able to determine that she has the financial resources to do so. Of course, that is not a reason in which a court will come to that conclusion, but it's one of the things in which are considered. But in this case, it may be that they want to extend it over to law enforcement agencies to say, you are a person of interest to us. We have declared you as a person who's undesirable. Law enforcement agencies, please come forward. Maybe there are other cases that should be laid against this individual so that we are able to show that the full march of the law is able to work. In that instance, you may see a multiple or increased number of sentences or increased punishment which is going to be exacted on her after a full trial has taken place, of course.
What legal recourse, does she have in terms of protecting herself? Also, not forgetting that a child is also involved, a child who's underage.
Well, the Latin term of auld alteram parte comes into mind and says, let the other voice be heard, let the other views and side of the story be heard. So you should find that probably at the start of the week, they're going to want to go to court. Probably by now, she would have appointed a person, a legal practitioner, who's going to represent her and speak on her behalf of all these inquiries which are taking place. And also remind the police to say, remember, you do not arrest for the purpose of investigation. You arrest after all investigations have taken place, and then you take it from there. So if you don't have something which is tangible, something that you can charge me with here and say that I'll be able to answer it, let me go, follow the proper procedure would be, let me go to court and then deport me to my country, or I'll go voluntarily, which is also almost an option which persons that find themselves in this type of situation would prefer, and then let me go, unless you have other information that is there. So I think by now, in order to protect her rights, she's going to definitely to make sure that there's a legal practitioner that is there. Also for the fact that there's a minor that is involved. Remember, once a minor is involved in this type of cases, then social development comes in. You do not want your child or the person who's associated with you to stay in a place in which you don't know of, or individuals that you have no relations with. So I think in this case, we may see at the start of the week, her coming to court with a legal practitioner to say, please defend me. I want my side of the story to be heard.
And also dealing with Chidimma Adetshina as well. I mean, we also know that it was said that she also obtained her documents fraudulently. Do we know her exact status in the country?
No, not. I wouldn't say that with precise certainty, but I would presume that if the source of you being declared as an African citizen is deemed to have entered the country legally, then the same would apply to you. It may be that you can go to court and say, but it's not my fault that I've been told a lie as to how things are supposed to be. But the Immigration Act will then take precedent to say, if you're not in the country in a proper manner, if you haven't been born here, then unfortunately you can no longer be called, or you can't be called a South African citizen. On those basis, then we have to declare you as a person who's undesirable, or at least offer an option in which you'll be able to apply, which is what Home Affairs would have said even to her mother, to say, after we've declared you as a person who's undesirable, there's a provision that is there. Make your application, state your case, we'll take your case to the minister, and the minister will apply his mind to your application and then give you an answer. If you're not satisfied with the answer, you can take it to court for a review. If there are certain things in which the court would view in your favor, and you may come back with the status.
So, fam, should we be expecting Rongo, that is Chidimma's mom in Nigeria, to join her? Who knows? Okay, matters doing what? Arising. Our next update is from the Dibia family. Recall I had said we wouldn't hear the last from this family this year. Yeah. So the latest update is that Annie's leg might need to be amputated. In fact, the word out on the street is that there are advanced plans to fly her to India to have it amputated as a fallout of drug use. Yeah, really sad. No idea how drug use can lead to that, though. Although I hear that I think she fell at some point, so it could be that as well. Who knows? Right. This is a developing story. Please pray for Annie. Please. Whatever you believe in, pray for Annie at this time. I mean, it's tough. Meanwhile, there were stories also flying around about Two-Face being missing, but I think he's been located now, safe and sound. It all looks like something out of a Nollywood movie, but it's real life. Please pray for Annie once again. Now, remember that I've been sensitizing you guys on Kemi Badnoch's lies, or Badnoch. And then, it was like I was attacking her, I was targeting her unfairly. Well, her Oyinbo cousins, I won't call her brothers and sisters, because I don't think they see themselves as her brothers and her sisters. So let's just say they're her distant cousins. They have also caught up with her lies. Oh, hey, they are also bitterly complaining now. And what do you do in Russia? So if you are seriously wondering if there's any hope for her Tory leadership, I will say, I doubt it. In fact, she's accused not just of lying, but of bullying as well. You know, I had advised her in one of my podcasts or videos. I had said, if and when you end up in 10 Downing, what did I say? I said, pack light too. Just go to the store and go and be buying all those small packs that you buy when you are traveling. 100 mil in Yetito. Hey, I said, because I don't think you will last long there. What has happened? Hey, they are even saying she will not go. They say the chances that she will end up there one is 0 to 10% you. Hey, it doesn't look like she will really show. Anyway, listen for yourself so that you will not say Nigeria newsmonger. Listen for yourself.
Controversies, missteps, and a series of underwhelming performances in both interviews and during Prime Minister's questions. Case their prowess on the public stage, holding the government accountable and exposing the Prime Minister's mistakes. But for Badenoch, the opposite has happened. This week saw her plumb new depths in her performance at PMQs. All 6 of her questions were repetitive and based on falsehoods. Here's just one typical example from the 6, where she opens with 2 lies, and just watch how Keir Starmer, hardly a brilliant operator at PMQs himself, completely eviscerates her. Enjoy.
Part 1 of the bill means a new employee could start a job in the morning and take their employer to a tribunal that afternoon. It is no wonder that this...
Mr. Speaker, I understand she likes straight talking. She's talking absolute nonsense. She knows, and any...
Mr. Keir Starmer in the cut and thrust of debate. But the guy's toying with her, setting up verbal traps that she blunders into time after time. Quite frankly, she's terrible at grammar, as each week increasingly demonstrates her clear inability and utter failure to use the chance PMQs gives her to demonstrate the clear political and economic mess which this new Labour administration have got themselves into. It is clear that before long there will have to be, if it is to survive politically, another internal election to allow the Conservative Party to finally have a truly platform to showcase leadership, policy knowledge and electability. And unfortunately for Badenoch, PMQs repeatedly highlight her shortcomings in all these
testing.
Inconsistencies and contradictions like these have eroded Badenoch's credibility and show her to be a leader more interested in political opportunism than principled similar concerns. This revelation not only highlights a glaring hypocrisy, but also raises questions about her consistency and integrity. And really, this fact highlights that her arguments were disconnected from the specifics of this case, casting doubt on her grasp on national security issues. Badenoch's leadership style has also come under fire. She's been accused of creating an intimidating atmosphere within her department as the minister, with some colleagues describing it at the time as toxic. At least 3 officials reportedly found her behaviour so traumatising that they felt compelled to leave their positions. Such allegations of bullying and creation of a hostile work environment have further tarnished Kemi Badenoch's leadership credentials. And internationally, she's managed to ruffle a few feathers too. Her disparaging remarks about Nigeria, her parents' homeland, sparked significant backlash in that country, with Nigeria's vice president accusing her of denigrating the country. Not exactly diplomatic finesse. No wonder pollsters have reported that her confrontational style is doing more harm than good to her party's performance in the polls. Anyway, however bad this Labour government has been, I'm pretty sure a Badenoch government would be even worse. Her tenure as Conservative leader has been marred by missteps, controversies and a complete failure to challenge Starmer's weak government. She's clearly out of her depth, as it's all too obvious to everyone through her performances at PMQs. Lacklustre and marred by inconsistencies and contradictions, and demonstrating a complete failure to grasp the issues. Coupled with numerous controversies and criticisms, her leadership has struggled to enter the centre ground. There's no way they could achieve that without a change of leader.
I hope you all heard that. So, see, they're even talking about how she has been denigrating Nigeria. I told you she would not score any points there. I said it. Well, and they're also now saying they want a new Tory leader. So chances that she'll make it even to 10 Downing, you can see that they've further reduced, Well, good luck to her is all I can say. But she should stop trolling her, because as long as she trolls us, I will be right behind, following her with bumper to bumper. I will troll her back. Anyway, we've come to the end of today's blog, fam. Please take time to subscribe. Subscribe, eh? And I've said it. Just 200 subscribers. Am I that bad? Encourage me now so that I can be coming out with quick updates like this. This was around 5 a.m. when I saw the news flash about Chidimma's mother. My first thought was for my fam. I said they have to hear this. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, eh? Let's do this. 2025. Hey, good Oshekini, we must not dollar accepts you. Okay, see you in the next update. Bye for now.